Good day, everyone. I am Engine Cadet Cabañero Jotam, and together with my co-cadets in Group 2, Engine Cadet Bryan Ken Limbaga, Engine Cadet Jake John Lloyd Papas, Engine Cadet Carl John Cocamas, Engine Cadet Danilo Losorata Jr., Engine Cadet Jhun Marwen Rodas, Engine Cadet Austin Gleve Alcano, and Engine Cadet Wendy Cuevas. And today we are going to discuss or tackle about the global divides, the North and the South. And today, let us proceed to the reporter.
So, good day everyone, good day sir. So, my topic is how did the global divide? So, the transition of industrial production to cheaper labor sources, international media, and expanding international trade and communication have in some ways made the world similar, yet in another ways made the gaps between nations larger by creating greater dependence of poor nation, wealthy nation. So there are north and south. So north south divide is a socio-economic and political categories of countries the Cold War era. The generalization placed countries into distinct groups: the North and the South. The North comprised of all first world countries and most second world countries, while the South is com- comprised of third world countries. The first world, it means dato but democratic, and the second world dato but communist or socialist. Pag pag dili sila mosulod sa duha, it's hard but democratic or or lisod because it's communist, and maong diri sila sa third world. That's why we consider as third world, kaya nasa south tayo. This categories ignores the geographic position of countries, with some countries in the southern hemisphere such as Australia and New Zealand being labeled as of the north. So that's why globalization is an even process. It creates an imbalance in the socio-economic and political categories of the world. The world is divided into north and south. So in the north, it is considered as the high income countries such as Norway, Australia, New Zealand, Japan. But in the global south is called poor poor big poor in Africa, Latin America, Asia. So lastly, the difference of north and south. So north is the first world and richer and more developed region. 95% has enough food and shelter. And the south, it's called third world. It's poor and less developed region, and 5% has enough food and shelter. So that's all. Thank you.
Good day, sir. This is Cadet Austin Gleve C. Alcano. So, in continuation of Cocamas' report, how did the global divide develop? So, when did the global division started? The origin of dividing countries, the North and the South, divide arose during the Cold War on the mid-20th century. In the 1980s, the Band line was developed as a way of showing how the world was geographically split into relatively richer and poorer nations. Richer countries are almost all located in the northern hemisphere, and while poorer countries are mostly located in tropical regions and in the southern hemisphere.
Good day, everyone. I am Engine Cadet Losorata Jr., Danilo A. So, my assigned topic for today, which is why the global divides the North and the South. So, there are many causes for these inequalities, including the availability of natural resources, different levels of health and education, the nature of a country's economy and its industrial sectors, international trading, policies, and access to markets. So, there are many reasons why there is global divide between the North and the South. One of these are explained by the Global South's lesser levels of economic and human development compared to the Global North. Institution, culture, geography, and imperialism, colonialism are the four primary causes that contribute to the Global South's lack of development. Furthermore, social differences between the North and the South, cause of cultural conflicts which create violence and hinders the development of international norms, and also the political weakness of some states in a global south create a security issues and questions and prevents global governance project from succeeding. The international system is biased in favor of the global north, which empowers it. The international leaders, on the other hand, may address these concerns by supporting global balance and to realize the full potential of global governance. The world must first solve state inequality.
Hi everyone, I'm Engine Cadet Rodas to Marwen, and I'm going to continue reporting Danilo Losorata's topic, and that is why the global divides the North and South. There are many causes for these inequalities, including the availability of natural resources, different levels of health and education, the nature of a country's economy and its industrial sectors, international trading policies, and access to markets. Uh, for me, the global divides North and South to the group countries who are similar in their economic prosperity, natural resources, and industrial sector. The global North is referred to as developing or third world countries, which include Latin America, Africa, the Pacific, and some Asian countries. The North are usually wealthy and industrialized countries, but little to no natural resources, while the South is developing and still starting to establish their own industries, but is bountiful with natural resources which they trade or export to the global North for added income in their respective economies. In the 1980s, the brand line was developed as a way of showing how the world was geographically split into relatively richer and poorer nations. Richer countries are almost all located in the northern hemisphere with Australia and New Zealand, and the poorer countries are mostly located in tropical regions and in the southern hemisphere. However, over the time, as countries such as Argentina, Malaysia, and Botswana all have above global average or gross domestic product, yet still appear in the global south. Conversely, countries such as Ukraine appear to be now amongst a poorer set of countries by the same measures. Today, the world is much more complex than the brand line depicts, as many poorer countries have experienced significant economic and social development. However, inequality within countries has also been growing, and some commentators now talk of global north and global south, referring respectively to a richer or poorer communities which are found both within and between countries. For example, India is still home to the largest concentration of poor people in a single nation. It also has a very sizable middle class and a very rich elite. elite. That's all, thank you.
So, good day everyone. I am Engine Cadet Cabañero B, and today I am going to tackle about what is the difference between the third world and the global south. So, the term global south is not an uncontroversial one. So, there have been many debates in the last few decades regarding its usefulness, both analytical and historical, but especially its connection to another equally debated term, third world. In the midst of these debates, however, there has appeared a loose consensus around their meaning and their linkages. So we are going to tackle the part of a third world. So what is a third world? So third world, according to my research, third world country is an outdated, offensive term for a developing nation characterized by the population with low and middle incomes and other socio-economic indicators. So, based on my research, our country, Philippines, today the Philippines is still considered as a third world country. Most people say problems such as corruption, unemployment, crimes, and poverty are the ones that hinder the country. So, this country to be part of the developed countries. And the global south, the phrase global south refers broadly to the regions of Latin America, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. It is one of a family of terms including third world and periphery that denote regions outside Europe and North America, mostly low income and often politically or culturally marginalized. So the characteristic of global south, so it represents mainly agrarian economies in Africa, India, China, Latin America, and others that are not in economically sound and politically stable as their global north counterparts and tend to be characterized by turmoil, war, conflict, poverty, anarchy, and tyranny. Tyranny. And that's all about what the difference between third world and the global south. Again, this is Indian Cadet Cabañero. Thank you.
Global South. The phrase Global South refers broadly to the regions of Latin America, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. It is one of a family of terms including Third World and Periphery that denotes regions outside Europe and North America, mostly though not all, low income and often politically or culturally marginalized global. The Global South is a term often used to identify lower income countries and also called the Third World. The Global South is more than the extensions of a metaphor for underdeveloped countries and general. It refers to these countries' interconnected histories of colonialism, new imperialism, and differential economic and social change, through which large inequalities in living standards, life expectancy, and access to resources are maintained. Global South is commonly understood to refer to less economically developed countries. It is a broad term that comprises a variety of states with diverse levels of economic, cultural, and political influence in the international order. Although international relations is an interdisciplinary field of study, it has historically been studied from a very Eurocentric perspective that does not always help us to understand developments occurring in the global south. Understanding global south perspective starts with the discussions of the Western centric focus of mainstreams IR theorists. It also recognizes the challenges facing scholars from the global south perspective are largely absent from mainstream debates. The ultimate goal is to broaden the field of view within IR theory to incorporate a more just and representative understanding of international relations.
Good day, everyone. I'm Engine Cadet Limbaga Bryan Ken, and this is my assigned topic: differentiate the Global South from the Third World. People refer to the two as Third World South and First World North because the Global North is more affluent and developed, whereas the Global South is less developed and often poorer. So, the phrase Global South refers broadly to the regions of Latin America, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. It is one of a family of terms including Third World and Periphery that denote regions outside Europe and North America, mostly, though not all, low income and often politically or cultural, generalize the term Global South. However, while also being a euphemism for developing countries, is generally used in the context of the economic and developmental disparity between countries in the northern and southern hemisphere. The proportion of developed countries is far higher in the northern hemisphere than in the south. Hence, the term, according to OD 2010, the global south represents mainly agrarian economics in Africa, India, China, Latin America, and others that are not as economically sound, politically stable as their global north counterparts and tend to the characterized by turmoil, war, conflict, poverty, anarchy, and tyranny. The global south is generally understood to refer to less economically developed countries. It is a broad term that comprises a variety of states with diverse levels of economic, cultural, and political influence. In the international order, although international relationship is an interdisciplinary field of study, it has historically been studied from a very Eurocentric perspective, thus not always help us to understand developments occurring in the global south. Understanding global south perspective start with a discussion of the western centric focus of mainstream IR theories. It also recognize the challenge facing scholar from the global south that might help to explain why global south perspective are largely absent from mainstream debates. The ultimate goal is to broaden the field of view within ER theory to incorporate a more just and representative understanding or international relationship. While on the other hand, the term third world historically refers to countries that were aligned neither with the communist Eastern bloc of countries nor with the capitalist West during the Cold War. This includes countries as diverse as Botswana, India, and Sweden. In current culture, however, the term is normally used as if is euphemism for developing countries. Over the years, the meaning of the term has become an elastic word. The term word is used to identify the countries with substandard, underdeveloped, or underperforming condition in certain field, which are in great need of development. It is also used to refer to the underdeveloped state of countries in certain areas that are in great need of development. Some characteristic of a third world includes low growth, national income (GNI), economic economic dependence on other countries, low human development, and lack of political rights and civil liberties. According to Stavrianus, one of the distinguishing feature of the third world is the idea of economic growth without economic development, which refer to growth determined by foreign capital, foreign markets, rather than by local needs. His definition of the third world is illuminating. It is not a set of countries or statistic, but rather a set of relationship, an equal relationship between controlling metropolitan center and dependent peripheral regions, whether colonies as in the past or new colonial independent state as today. So that's all my.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Engine Cadet Lloyd Papas, and my assigned topic is what is difference between third world and global south. The term global south is not an uncontroversial one. There have been many debates in the last few decades regarding its usefulness, both analytical and historical, but especially its connection to another equally debated term, Third World. In the midst of these debates, however, there has appeared a losses consensus around their meaning and their linkage. So, what is the difference between the third world and global south? So, the third world, the term third world historically refers to the countries that were aligned neither with the communist Eastern Bloc of countries nor with the capitalist West during the Cold War. These include countries as diverse as Botswana, India, and Sweden. In current culture, however, the term is normally used as a euphemism for developing countries, while the term also Global South, also being a euphemism for developing countries, is generally used in the context of the economic and developmental disparity between countries is northern and southern hemisphere. The proportion of developed countries is far higher in the northern hemisphere than in the south, hence the term. So the global south is an economic term denoting lower income countries, while the third world historically denoted countries not politically aligned with the former Eastern Bloc or, or West. The terms are not interchangeable. So, why is global south poor? Unfortunately, countries in the global south suffer from poverty, lack of human rights, and the depletion and abuse of natural resources. Progress won't occur in these countries unless outside and inside forces make positive changes for the well-being of its people and environment. That's all. Thank you.